Back rocking the brown. Ever since we been knocking them down. Baby said she wanna go to the game. Taught her how to say Padre gang. Started back rocking the brown. Ever since we been knocking them down. Mitchell and Ness with the old school name. All of the homies holler Padre gang. Yeah, that.
The day after. Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Talking Friars pregame show for October 3rd, 2022. I'm your host, Ben Fadden. The Padres and the Giants kick off their final regular season series of the year. One team's going to the postseason, the other team is not. Usually, that team that is not going to the postseason would be the Padres, but that's not the way it is this year. The Giants not going to the postseason, and our Padres are headed to the postseason. Don't know who the opponent is. I believe the Braves can clinch the National League East with a win today. And so the Mets would be the 4 seed. They'd be locked in as the 4 seed pretty much. And so if the Padres finish this series with the Giants as the 5 seed, they'd go play in New York, which seems like is uh, the most likely scenario is that they go play the Mets in New York and have to face DeGrom and Scherzer. But they could also still go play in St. Louis if Philly wins games, probably wins that Astros series, and the Padres can't beat the Giants, and they fall down to the 6th spot, and then they play the Cardinals. So still, we don't know the positioning, don't know what time the Padres would play, but it would be on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday potentially for a game 3. NLDS starts, I believe, the Tuesday after that, but we're still getting ahead of ourselves right now and talking about the NLDS. But as for tonight, Manny is not in the lineup. He was partying pretty hard last night. Jorge Alfaro was partying really hard last night. He's not in the lineup. Not a surprise. There are some guys that were partying hard, or at least from, personality wise. You don't think that they're the biggest personalities, but they were still getting after it last night as well. They're in the lineup though. So seems like they're good. Joe Musgrove on the mound for the Padres today. Don't really know how long he's going to go. I assume Bob Melvin's going to speak to the media today, maybe right now, or 10 minutes or so. I don't know when he speaks to the media. Probably around 4 o'clock or something like that for a 6:40 game. So maybe we'll learn more about how long the Padres want to go with Musgrove today. 75 pitches, maybe around there. I'm just throwing that number out there. I don't know, 80 pitches, or maybe they want him to go like 90, but don't want him to go more than that. Obviously, this is a start where it's like, okay, he's pitching because he was scheduled to pitch, and you want to keep him throwing, but this is not a start to be pushing him, obviously. They've already clinched a postseason spot. Okay, I guess you're playing for wild card positioning here, but there's no reason to have Joe Musgrove go, I don't think at least, like 90, 100 pitches. There's no reason to. That's more pitches on his arm. That's more time out there where he could potentially get hurt. They just don't need that. So we'll see how long he goes today. Hopefully, it's like 80 pitches, somewhere around there, and you get him out of there. And hopefully, it's just a strong start. And he'll be ready for a potential game 3. Still don't know how they would line that up, but if we're just basing it off of who's pitching after one another, starting days, Darvish would go game 1, Snell would go game 2, and then Musgrove would go a potential game 3 in the wild card series. On Friday, then Saturday, and then potentially Sunday for um, a game 3 if the series is tied at 1. Jeffrey, I see here, is in the chat. I appreciate you. He says the magic number for the 5 seed is 3. Okay. So they wouldn't be able to clinch it today, regardless of what happens, right? Because you'd need a Philly loss, a Padres win, so the magic number would be down to 1. And then he says Mania and probably a bullpen game for game 3. You mean game 3 of this series? Because game 3 of the wild card, I think, would be Musgrove. But game 3 of this series, are you saying probably Clevenger would start tomorrow? I think that would be his day. For game 3, yeah, maybe. Maybe they go Manaea there. Obviously, that's a big question, and I'll definitely do more stuff on this leading up to Friday when the roster decisions have to be made of who are those 2 guys that they're gonna take off of the roster. Because it's 28 guys right now. They got to get it down to 26 for that wild card roster. And I believe that has to be announced Friday morning, the day, obviously, of the wild card series starting. And I think Brandon Dixon is an easy one. Like, he'd be off. He is DHing today, batting ninth. He's gone. Um, but who's the other guy? Is it Manaea? Is it Clevenger? My first thought on this is probably that they'd go with Manaea instead of Clevenger because you probably want Clevenger to pitch, would it be game 1 of a division series against probably the Dodgers if they face the Mets. I think they'd rather have Clev go there than have Manaea pitch or start a game 1. And we saw, at least I was encouraged by what I saw from Manaea out of the bullpen in his last time out. So they're probably comfortable with either guy being on the roster. But I know maybe it's not smart to, like, game plan for a division series when you need to win the wild card series first, but I think that it's still okay for them to do it in this situation. It's not like you're saving the better pitcher, um, if this makes sense. You're it's not like they're saving the better pitcher to go pitch that division series, and then you don't end up going to the division series. Kinda like how, well, I don't know if this happened, but Zach Britton didn't pitch, I think it was a wild card game for the Orioles, didn't pitch him, and the Blue Jays won that game. Um, so it's not like one of those scenarios. For me, I think the Padres are just confident in Sean Manaea, and so you can kinda get the best of both worlds. Like, you can get Manaea out of the bullpen, which they probably like more than him starting a playoff game, and then you can get Clevenger starting a playoff game, and they probably would want him starting a playoff game over Manaea, and he's probably more comfortable starting games than coming in out of the bullpen. So I'd probably just gut right now, my first thought about this is Dixon's gone and then probably Clevenger's off, which is weird to say because Clevenger is one of the, best pitchers on the team, right? But I just think game planning wise or series planning wise for the next series, uh, and one of them's gonna get on the roster. I think Manaea, he's just better out of the bullpen. One time around the lineup, maybe. And so maybe that's what they do. Don't know. But that's going to be a talking point leading up to Friday. John Brebier is on the mound. Getting back to today, he's on the mound against the Padres for the Giants. He's a reliever, an opener. It's a bullpen game for the Giants. Last outing, won an inning. Hasn't really gone more than an inning, um, really ever. July 23rd, he won an inning and a third. It's literally an opener. So there's not. I don't want to go into him too much because he's going to be facing, okay, the top of the Padres order: Kim, Soto, Drury, maybe Bell or Crony. Hopefully, it gets that far. Um, just an opener, just like the Padres did. What was that, Thursday, when they had Steven Wilson go face the Dodgers? So not a whole lot to talk about with John Brebbia. He has a 3.14 ERA going into today. And then Musgrove, I already talked about what I want today from him. It's just keeping him healthy, but keeping him active. That's probably the purpose of this. He has been preparing for this start, so might as well start him, and just keep him going. But this is obviously not a game where you push him, and you probably limit his pitch count to 70, 80 pitches, to be honest. His last outing went 5 innings, like 106 pitches last outing. Like, that's not going to happen. I see something more kind of like the September 22nd outing where he went 5 innings, 72 pitches. Like, I'd be fine with him going like that. Like, the Padres, they've obviously clinched a playoff spot. They don't need to win this game. Um, I'm not saying you try to lose the game. What I'm saying is you prioritize player health the rest of the way. And prioritizing player health is by having Joe Musgrove not go more pitches than he needs to get work in, if that makes sense. So that's the matchup. Musgrove, Brebbia. If you look at the Padres bullpen chart that I put out every day, that is out already on the Talking Friars Twitter account. You probably think everyone's available. Hater if they want to have them saved. Like, again, when we're talking about bullpen availability right now, it's about prioritizing these guys' arms and their health. If someone, you know, if Steven Wilson isn't feeling well, now I don't know that he doesn't, or that he does feel well, or he doesn't feel well, but I'm just throwing it out there, a random name. So maybe not Steven Wilson, just a random name. Anyone in this bullpen. If they don't feel great today after partying, or they don't feel great, okay, then don't pitch them. Maybe they have Chris Matt come onto the roster for the last couple days. I don't know what the rules are for that. Like, if Chris Matt comes onto the roster and replaces someone, that someone, can they not be on the wild card roster? I don't know. So maybe if they can't be on the roster, then Chris Matt doesn't come and replace someone on the roster. Or same thing with like Reese Kinnear, if he comes and pitches. I don't know. But maybe they do that if that doesn't prevent any of these relievers from making the wild card roster. But definitely it's about prioritizing these guys, their health, their arms. You probably don't want guys pitching back-to-back days the rest of this regular season, the rest of this series, or for the entirety of this series. So maybe Tim Hill, Luis Garcia, Steven Wilson, they all pitched yesterday. Maybe they're all down today. Just really prioritizing the health and just get ready for Friday. So, um, Hader, Martinez, Stammen, Morahone, Suarez, Johnson, they all did not pitch yesterday. So you'd think they're all available today. But again, we don't know about player health or the plans, what Ruben Niebla, Bob Melvin's plans are right now for this bullpen. Like, if they had a plan with the front office saying, okay, if we clinch on Sunday, or we clinch whatever day, all right, these guys are down. Maybe they have that plan. But as for now, that's what the bullpen situation looks like. And today, like I already said multiple times, it's all about prioritizing the players' health. They've already clinched a playoff spot. You have Manny have a day off today. I love that. I'd love to see Ha-Sung Kim get a day off, maybe even a couple days off, because he's been playing every day as that primary shortstop, giving it his all. Like, he's going 100%. Whenever he slides into second, it's like, oh, is this guy going to be okay? Like, he gives full out effort. So I'd like to see him get a couple days. I definitely love to see I love watching Crony play, but he's another guy that posts every day. I'd like to see him get a day off or a couple days off to end the season. But I do like having Grisham in the lineup. Try to get something going with him. Get him in a groove. I like seeing Campy in there. Get him some playing time. Um, you can't rest everybody. So, like, Soto's playing today, Drury, Bell, Crony, they're playing today. But, Kim's another one as well. But guys that they could get off their feet, Nola is another guy that definitely deserves to have some days off, especially when he's probably going to be catching every day come playoff time. Resting those guys, Manny, the guys that they could get days off, Alfaro, Nola, Manny, they did get the day off today, at least starting. So that's good to see. Padres lineup, here it is. Ha-Sung Kim's leading off at short. Soto's in right. Drury is playing third for Manny. He's batting third. Josh Bell's at first base. Crony's at second base, batting fifth. Will is in left field. By the way, I loved seeing him celebrate in the clubhouse after the game, and him walk off the field yesterday, saluting the fans, and as he was leaving, saluting the fans outside the player garage. Uh, I would love to see that guy come back next year, but if he doesn't, if you could end it with a World Series ring, that would be amazing. I'd be so happy to see that guy win a ring as a Padre with everything that he's been through. Anyway, he's batting sixth and left. Campy is catching, batting 7th. Grisham is in center, batting 8th. Let's see if he can do something, get something going at the plate. Maybe he starts every game in the wild card because they want the defense there, and you just have him hit ninth. But it would definitely be a positive if he can get something going offensively at the plate. And then Brandon Dixon, I was kind of anticipating him to be playing every day in the field this series. Get Josh Bell or Brandon Drury a day off of their feet if Manny's not going to play as well. But he is DHing today. Maybe he moves into the field. But that's the way the Padres are going today. Kim, Soto, Drury, Bell, Crony, Will, Campy, Grisham, and then Brandon Dixon is batting ninth. The Giants, they're having Yaz play center, leading off. Wilmer Flores is batting second. He's at third. J.D. Davis is at first. Jock Peterson's in left. Thairo Estrada is at second base. Brandon Crawford is at short. David VR is DHing. Lamonte Wade Jr. is in right field. And Joey Bart is catching, batting ninth. He hasn't had that, he hasn't had as great of a year as I probably thought he would have. He was that top Giants prospect, one of the best prospects in baseball, but obviously replacing a Hall of Famer or potential Hall of Famer in Buster Posey, like that's hard to do, impossible to fill those shoes. And kind of looks like he's been struggling this year to do so. 11 home runs. He also hasn't really stayed healthy. Just looking at some basic numbers here, I'll look more at his stats now, just seeing how many games he's played. Yeah, 94 games. Like he's not playing the whole year, or even if he's been healthy, he's just not starting every day at catcher. How much he's struggling. But like right now, the Giants, they have nothing to play for, so you might as well be playing him every day. Yeah. So in June, he was actually sent down to Sacramento. I believe that's their AAA team. He had a concussion late August, placed him on the 7-day IL there, and then they activated him at the beginning of last month, because we're in October now, activated him in September. So had some concussions, unfortunate there, sent down to work on some things. But he is hitting ninth for the Giants today. Matchup-wise, Padres, not a whole lot there. I mean, it doesn't really even matter a ton. Like the Padres, they're just putting out the lineup. They've already clinched a postseason spot. They're prioritizing health, getting guys off their feet at times that they can. Again, you can't have everyone rest, but having Manny, Alfaro, Nola, having those guys rest is good today. Azokar's not in there. Yeah, there's nothing really to talk about. Kim's hitting 200 off Brebbia, 5 at-bats, but look, it's a reliever. He's going to be in there for an inning. But for the Giants, I guess Musgrove, hopefully he's in there for like 4 or 5 innings, and then they get him out of there. Brandon Crawford hitting 286 off him, 21 at-bats. Thairo Estrada, 10 at-bats, hitting 300 off of him. Jock Peterson's hitting 300 off of him in 20 career at-bats, 2 homers off of Joe, so maybe look for that matchup. But today, at least for me, for Padres fans, I think this is a day that you should just enjoy watching the Padres play baseball. You don't have to don't worry about managerial decisions unless it's like Musgrove going there, still being in there after 100 pitches or something. Like, if someone gets pulled early and you don't hear about an injury, don't worry about it. This should be a day to just relax, enjoy Don and Mud or Jesse and Tony on the broadcast, and just watch the baseball game, and don't get pissed off if they lose or something. Like, just enjoy this last 3 stress-free baseball games, because you shouldn't be stressed out right now. That will come on Friday morning probably, right, when we're thinking about who the Padres play, whether it's the Mets or the Cardinals. Those probably seem the 2 likeliest teams. Stress about it then. Yeah, we'll talk about the roster, this week, and who should be the 26th man on there and 25th man on there, how the rotational line up. But for this series, just enjoy seeing Brandon Dixon play. We've already, if you can enjoy that, enjoy that. Enjoy seeing Manny on the bench. Why? Because he's getting rest. Because we've clinched a postseason spot. We don't have to worry about that anymore. You know. So I think this is going to be a fun few days to just relax right now to end this season. I'll still have the clips at Talking Friars on Twitter, as I always do. I watch every game. That's not going to change. But just relax, enjoy this game. Whatever happens, all right, it happens. Um, Obviously, hope the Padres can win. Makes the night good, makes the night better. But they're already in. Right now it's more about playoff positioning, and I guess that's what they're playing for. We don't know who they want to play. There's probably talk about in the clubhouse, man, I'd rather play the Mets or I'd rather play the Cardinals. The easier path is the 6th seed because we don't have to play the Dodgers till the NLCS potentially. There's probably still talk about that in the clubhouse, but for us, just enjoy these last few games. All right. This has been the Talking Friars pregame show. By the way, my Padre pick, I'm going to go with Grish today. I went with Drury yesterday, didn't get a hit, so I'm 153 so far this season in my pregame show Padre pick. Today I'm going to go with Trent. Nothing, no reasoning for it, I guess, other than just hoping that he can turn something around offensively and we can start getting him going here going into the wild card series if he indeed is going to be the starting center fielder. But yeah, that's it. Talking Friars pregame show, October 3rd, 2022. Padres Giants, 6:40 first pitch. Joe Musgrove on the mound. Last regular season start of the season for him. Go Padres, and enjoy these last few days before the wild card series on Friday. See ya.